Good morning, people, and welcome back to the Blues feed for another match review after the Brentford game on Saturday. Back with me today is my good friend and co-host, Mr. Danny Windsor. Danny, welcome back to our channel.
Hello, mate. Hello. I missed last week. A bit mental at work, so got Jay on. But yeah, I'm glad to be back. And I think the subscribers and the listeners are going to enjoy my little rant, or disagree with it and tell me I'm an idiot. But who knows? We'll find out soon.
You're all finally going to see the Danny Windsor rant today, I think.
Well, it
And
it depends on what side of the fence you sit on, because you've got the positive for positive sake idiots on Twitter that just say, "Oh well, yeah, we drew and we haven't lost in ages, and so why are you moaning?" Oh, okay, so just because we haven't lost in a while, we shouldn't moan about something that's blatantly obvious. But we'll get into it in a minute.
we will get into that in a minute. Before we do get into that, I just want to remind everyone of our 1K subscriber giveaway, which we are again we're creeping closer. We're not quite there yet. We're almost halfway, and we are we're desperate to get there to give one of you lucky people who keep supporting us, keep subscribing and commenting, etc., a Chelsea shirt from this season. So carry on liking, subscribing, share it with your friends and family. Anyone you think will like it, we definitely appreciate any shares you can give us. Um, Talking of you lovely people, I just want to move on to a couple of comments from recent episodes. I'll start with Frederick Singer 6864.
My
Who?
favourite subscriber.
Yep, same. As well, actually, I've got 400 odd favorite subscribers, but Frederick's comment last week really sort of agrees with what I just said. And he says, insightful and worthwhile. Thanks. You should have more subscribers. I agree, Frederick. Definitely.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, well
And
done, Frederick.
one of our one of our biggest contributors from our subscriber network is Magloka, who says, I think this was in relation to the video before the Brentford preview, and he says, pick up on the point being made about Gusto and how his form has picked up since he's not having to invert. There was chat about Gusto being sold towards the end of last season. Isn't there an argument that Maresca could have done the same thing with Chilwell on the left hand side? That would, of course, have James becoming the right side of centre back when in possession, which no one would be unhappy about. Danny, I want you to sort of dissect that and let me know your thoughts, really, because there's some interesting points in there.
I think the first point is, I mean, to me, is blatantly obvious, and I couldn't agree more. Gusto was arguably one of the best young fullbacks in the season against Pochettino. He was with Pochettino. Sorry, well, I suppose it was a bit against Pochettino because he was useless, but hey ho. Yeah, he was really good going forward. He was good defensively, and last season he looked lost, having to invert and completely learn something new. Didn't really understand the role. Didn't particularly perform very well, and kept somehow being being in the right 10 at points, which was just horrendous. But since he's gone back to the right wing back or right back role, which um, we saw at the Club World Cup and a couple of times early this season as well. He's been fantastic, and looking back at like the right back that we all know, and the reason teams like Bayern Munich were interested over the summer, because he's a top right back. He just can't invert. So I agree with that fully. There is an argument that he could have done that with Chilwell as well, but kind of in the way Maresca plays, you only do it with one. So you can't have them both coexist. And also, Chilwell was on 250 grand a week, and as we know with our sporting directors, they wanted to kind of cut the wages and get the age of the squad down as well. So um, I didn't ever really see that happening. But yeah, I kind of get the point. But I think it was time for Chilwell to move on. I'm glad the club did the right thing by Chilwell and coming to some sort of settlement on his contract while letting him move to Strasbourg. I'm glad Chilwell took the opportunity to go and play for Strasbourg. I mean, you never know, the left back position in England is definitely up for grabs. So go play at Strasbourg, go play in the Europa League, play really well, and you never know. Tuchel loves Chilwell, so let's see. Um, yeah, I think that's probably what I'd say. Anything you'd want to add to that?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with everything you just said, and I think what we can say about Gusto will be prevalent in our video that comes out a little bit later today in the Bayern Munich preview. But I think he starts in our probably in the way that we line up the best at the moment, or the way that we're most accustomed to lining up, and that says everything. As long as the tactics are correct, there's never been a question mark over his ability. It's just his ability to play a role that doesn't suit him was the issue. And he just didn't have the ability to be able to adapt to that, which is fine. Not every player can adapt to different roles and different styles of play. And that's okay. We have enough players that can do that. That not every player should have to do that or feel comfortable doing that. You look at something that we're going to come on to very shortly. You look at Wesley Fofana on Saturday having to play as a right back. It just really doesn't suit him, and that's okay as well. Like that's not his position. So yeah, I think two very good comments there, and we echo what both people are saying. And yeah, we just thank you for the love and the comments that you guys are still giving us, even though we are a little bit we're not as fresh as we were when we started this now. So we are slowly getting the subscribers, and we still love all of you originals that keep pushing us and subscribing and commenting, and we thank you for that. Moving on, Danny, let's do what we're here to do and review the Brentford game. Um, I'm gonna sort of leave it to you because I know there's a lot of points that you want to say, and there's a few points that you want to really stress. But before we get into the negatives, because there were probably slightly more negatives than there were positives on the game at the weekend, I just want to shout out Moises Caicedo, man. He is just so fucking good, isn't he? He is just so good.
He's the best for me. He's the best DM in the league. I said it before. I think Rodri. Oh, I think probably in the world. I don't think anybody bar Rodri, when fully fit, can come close to him in that position. He's one of the best midfielders and DMs in the world, and he just continues to show it. He's got that Kante esque kind of performance about him where he just doesn't drop anything worse than a 7 ever. It's just 7 out of 10 every week, and most of the time it's more than that. It's better, like it's 8, 9s out of 10s every single week. I mean, I would hate to be like a number 10 having to play against Caicedo.
Yeah, I completely agree. And just before I prod and provoke you into a bit of a rant and a clearing of your chest, if you like, I just want to have a quick chat about Buonanotte. What did you think of his debut?
I think he was very technically savvy, pretty decent on the ball, pretty solid, kind of what we expect without being anything fantastic. I think it was pretty much as expected, I would suggest.
He sort of reminded me of the way Gallagher played that 10 role under Poch in a way. He was quite tenacious, quite hard working, okay around the box, but without really doing anything special. There was a couple of occasions where he slightly frustrated me. I think he played a pass, tried to play it to Enzo Fernandez, taking one touch too many, in a really good move actually that Fernandez forced the corner from. That if we were a little bit quicker or Buonanotte was a little bit quicker with his touch, I think we might have actually had more of a chance to score. But overall, I thought, yeah, like you say, it was pretty much what we expected from him. He worked hard. He linked play quite well. He seemed to link up quite well with the fellow Portuguese speakers or South Americans, and that was all we really expect from him, weren't it? I think he's
I think he'll
unless
just be he's going to be the KDH of last season,
yeah,
where he's the eighth attacker. He'll come on, he'll play okay, he'll start some cup games, start in some rotations when there's injuries like the weekend, and he'll do okay without being anything spectacular. And I
yeah,
think I said it off in the end of the transfer window pod. I wouldn't be surprised if we're taking a stronger look at him to potentially send him to Strasbourg next season.
yeah. It wouldn't surprise me. We send him there to replace Kendry or something along those
Yeah.
lines.
I
Right,
mean,
let's
you go
get
and
into
have
the bit.
Enciso and Buonanotte, for example,
Yeah, exactly. Who already know
instead of
know each other really
Enciso
well.
and Kendry, as an example, if Brighton will let him go for a reasonable fee, because obviously Strasbourg won't pay 30 million for him. But
Of course,
yeah,
yeah.
it's just if you can get him on a decent deal, and we get a closer look at him, then great. If not, if it's not, but yeah.
So let's get into what everybody's been waiting to hear since we started this pod. Let's have our first Danny Windsor rant. So, Danny, the floor is yours. Tell me what you think of Saturday. Unleash it all. Clear your chest. Give us everything.
The thing that frustrated me the most was one when I saw the team. I don't think it was massively far away from what we kind of expected and what we predicted when we were talking in the chat, talking like on WhatsApp. But I was a little bit surprised about Buonanotte, to be fair, but I wasn't too annoyed about that. It was the fact of playing Fofana at right back, which was terrible, was kind of at fault. I mean, Tosin wasn't good enough for the goal anyway, but he was kind of at fault because he had no pace to get back. He was completely off the pace. And you're sat there and you're looking at the bench. You haven't taken Mark Guiu, who, in Maresca's own words, our only proper number 9. And then after the game saying, "Oh well, I think the best position for Pedro is when you have a proper 9 ahead of him and he can play in the 10 when you're playing against deep blocks." Hello, Maresca. We're playing Brentford. They have 9 people behind the box, behind the ball. That's your only number 9. Why is he not even in the squad? With 3 right backs on the bench, and you're playing a centre back at right back. Like, I thought we were over this bollocks of doing stupid shit for the sake of doing stupid shit. I get giving Fofana 45 minutes because you want to build his fitness. Well, rest Trev then, because he's played every minute of every game so far. Who is going to have to start in the Champions League? So give Trev 45 minutes off. Play Fofana in his right back position, which is going to help. His right centre back position, which will help with the way he plays, will help him with some confidence as he's not played for 10 months, and then build some fitness. I just don't understand how we've gone back to playing players out of position again. It just fucking pisses me off. And then you see that he knew that it was shit and it didn't work because made 3 subs at half time. And you can tell me that, oh yeah, it was only planned for 45 minutes for Fafana and like a shorter period of time for Hato, etc. Yes, fine, I get that, but also you knew it wasn't working, which is why you put Cucurella on, you put a right back on, you put I can't remember who else he put on, and then you put Tyreek George on, and then you put Tyreek George on, who for me was pretty average, if not terrible, up front against Fulham. You put him up front for 10 minutes. Then after 10 minutes, you bring on Palmer, and then you put Pedro back up front. And then you make another substitution. You put George on the left for 15 minutes. And then you make another substitution, and you put George back up front. Just put Guiu there, who's a number 9. George is not a number 9. He never will be a number 9. I personally don't think he's Chelsea standard either. And you've ruined Mark Guiu's kind of chances of playing a lot of Premier League minutes by taking him back for Sunderland. And then as a reward, you go, "Oh yeah, cheers, bro. Can you just come warm up with us just in case somebody gets injured in the warm up, and then just sit and watch us play?" It's fucking stupid. I don't get it.
To play devil's advocate, and to be honest, I completely agree with pretty much everything you just said. The changing at half time is obviously frustrating because he knew he got it wrong, but I think it's definitely a positive in terms of a year ago he probably wouldn't have done that. He'd have probably left it till 60 minutes, maybe 70 minutes before making changes. So I think in a way that's a positive. It's a positive to override a negative because he shouldn't have done it in the first place. It's bang on. He should. Why are you playing for Farner at right back? That should never be. That should never even be a thought process when you've got 3 right backs in the squad, like you say. Just give Josh those minutes, rest Trev, play for Farner at centre half, whatever. But for me, the Guiu thing is the real sticking point, and I still think he'll get more minutes at Chelsea this year than he'd have got at Sunderland. But
Disagree.
why was I just don't understand why he wasn't in the squad. And to me, there's got to be something else there. He must have been injured or something.
No,
Or he
he was
must have,
fine.
because it just doesn't make sense why he wouldn't be in the squad. I just cannot fathom why he wasn't in the squad. It makes no sense whatsoever to not even have had him on the bench for 10
Yeah.
minutes. And on your point on Tyreek George, I completely agree. I do personally think he's better as a 9 than a left winger, but again, he's not Chelsea standard. He's not good enough. And
What
if it
did he
wasn't,
do in the number 9 for the 45-minute or the 30 minutes he played there against Fulham, or the 30 minutes that he had at 9 against Brentford, and then the 15 minutes he did at left wing? He did nothing for the
nothing.
whole entire time.
He's not Chelsea standard, and I
Yeah.
stick with that. It's a shame, and don't get me wrong, I want him to have a great career and I want him to do well, but he's not good enough to play for us. And I think if that was in 3 weeks' time, when certain players are up to full fitness, I don't think he'd have come on anyway. I think if Garnacho was fully fit, he'd have came on, or he might have
Yeah,
brought
so
on
just
somebody else.
bring
But then
Guiu.
the
Like,
whole point
why
is
do
why
why
is
do we
why
need
is Guy not there?
Acheampong, Cucurella, Gusto, James all on the bench, and Josh
100%,
on the bench?
exactly. So
You
yeah,
got five fucking defenders,
that's the questionable
3
part
right
for
backs.
me.
It's mental.
Yeah, that's definitely the questionable part for me. On the game itself, I think it's clear that João Pedro's got to play in the 10. I think that's fairly obvious at this point against teams with a lower block. I don't mind against more open teams like maybe this weekend when we go and play against Man United in playing as a 9. But I think teams when we're playing against a lower block, João Pedro has to be in the 10. I think that's so clear and obvious now. I think when he had his short spell as a 9 on Saturday, he seemed a little bit like he was frightened to take Palmer's space, which is understandable. But I think, yeah, moving forward, when we play against these lower oppositions that are going to sit back, sit behind the ball, the play is João Pedro in the 10 for me. Um, what did you think of
I think
Garnacho's?
so, but I think also I'm trying to work out like there's not a very easy way to get Pedro, Palmer, and Estevao all in the same team.
Yeah,
Which against low blocks, I think you need those 3 on the pitch.
yeah, and it's something that Maresca's going to have to work out because, like you said, I think
Mhm.
them three being on the pitch is vital.
The only way you can do it is you play Gusto or James as a bombing on right back, and then you bring Estevao or Palmer in from the right wing, and then play Pedro up top.
Yeah, potentially. I think there's, like we said in pre-season quite frequently, there is so many different ways you can configure our attack. But the basis of it is these got to get the defence right first, and we didn't get the
Mm,
defence right on Saturday. And you can see that our foundations are so important to the way we play going forward. When
yeah.
there's structure, people are in the right areas, we look fluid. When there's not, we look so out of our depth. It's crazy, really. Um, People listening aren't going to be able to see this, but on screen, Danny's got a pass map of the weekend, and a couple of things stand out to me. Firstly, where's João Pedro?
Because
there's,
he
o-
played in so many different positions, I don't know why he's on there, but I presume
there's
that's
there's there's only 9 outfielders there, so let's ignore that for a second. But again, Fernandez was almost playing as a right midfielder at times. And don't get me wrong, the last time he played there, I was not a fan of it. I thought he was probably outside of Caicedo our best player on Saturday. I was really impressed with Enzo. And normally, if he has a bad game, it's in a game like that. But actually, I thought he was quite good. Um, Jamie Gittins, and we need to be a bit sort of kind to him, I think, because he's raw. We knew he was raw when he was coming in. He's coming from Germany, and players never settle quickly from Germany into the Premier League. But he did look better in the second half. But the first half, he just looked so out of his depth. Do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I was actually quite frustrated by the timing of the substitution for
Yeah, because he'd
Gittins
started
because
to get
he
better
just started to get better and just started to run at people. Like he actually made his best run of the game
as
and
he
then
got
didn't come
subbed.
back on the pitch
Yeah,
because he like fell over or got tackled on the sideline and then got up, was pulling his socks up, and then got taken off.
yeah,
So I was quite frustrated about the timing of that. Again, why I was quite annoyed by the George substitution because it's like, well, if you didn't bring George off, you could have maybe given Gittins a little. If you didn't bring George on, sorry, and you brought Guiu up front, you could have maybe given Gittins a little bit longer. But hey,
yeah, yeah, 100%. Before we wrap up the review of the Brentford game, VAR was involved again, and it's a little bit controversial, I think, because a lot of people think that the goal shouldn't have stood, and some people are thinking that Dango Ouattara didn't interfere with play, trying to take your Chelsea head off. What do you think? Do you think it was a legitimate goal, or do you think it was a bit harsh to not be ruled out?
the The easiest way I can describe it is at the time I didn't even think about it being offside or it should be disallowed. So that probably shows you that it's not obvious. Mainly because I was shouting and screaming and throwing the TV remote. To be fair, but that's an element of why. But I mean, on review, it is he's offside. If he touches the ball or not, he interferes with James. Um, and I promise you, if it was like that to the goalkeeper, it would definitely be offside. It's just because
Yeah.
it's a defender. Um, and to be honest, it's probably the result of the week before where you had what's Baldy Locks and the Three Hairs called? Who goes on with Michael Owen and talks about the subs?
Oh, Howard Webb.
Howard Webb, because he goes, oh yeah, we kind of got involved in too many from VAR. So as usual, they make some mistakes and then they try and overcorrect because they're like, now, well, oh yeah, we want to give the referee the decision and the linesman the decision when it's just bollocks. You just make the right call. It doesn't matter if you've made come in and you make every decision. If there's a 5-3 game and you've got to get involved in every single goal, who cares? Or if there's a 5-3 game and you don't get involved in anything, who cares? Just get the decision right.
Well,
You
this is
never
their
hear
issue, isn't it? It's a
you
lack of
never hear tennis
consistency.
or cricket or rugby go, oh, bloody VAR was involved too much.
Yeah,
No, just
exactly.
get the decisions right.
Yeah, and this is the frustrating thing for me. Um, just have some consistency. And the bit that I don't like is after the Fulham game, and rightly so, it was all you heard. The King goal shouldn't have been disallowed.
Hmm.
It was a legitimate goal. It was a legitimate goal. 100% it was. But why are we not hearing this after this? I mean, I saw it at the time, and I just assumed that where he was onside when the flick on was because they didn't show it on Sky Sports. I saw he was offside when the throw in was being taken, and I just assumed that he was onside as the flick on
Yeah,
was. But it's obvious he interferes. He crosses Reece James's path, stopping him from clearing the ball. The ball then goes past Reece, and it's allowed to be tapped in. And
yeah.
anyone can slag off Garnacho all they like. It shouldn't have got to the point where he had to defend that back post. Yes, he should have tracked the runner, fair enough. But there are three things that need to have happened before it even gets to his problem. A, somebody should win the header. B, Ouattara was offside. And C, James could clear the ball. So
Yeah.
there's three things there that should have happened before it
There
even
was like
became Garnacho's
95
problem.
centre backs around Aya and nobody
It,
did anything.
exactly that. So yeah, there's an air of
To be fair,
frustration
on
with
that
that.
point as well, to talk about it being given as not a goal, if you watch the angle from behind everything, I can't remember who it is, but one of their attackers just pushes one of our defenders completely. And
Yeah,
we heard from the PGMO that they were going to get involved with stuff holding and pushing in the box more. So there was a foul from the push. It was offside, but also Sanchez could come and just attack that ball because it was a big looping cross. You're going to know where it lands. There's six centre backs around
he was
around the
actually
defender, and
Sanchez was
then
actually unlucky
James
not
could
to
do it.
save that
Yeah, but I mean,
because
he
he
could
was
come get
very
it when it
close.
crosses.
Yeah,
Just come
true.
and lay everybody out. Who gives a
Although
shit?
before we wrap, I will say I was actually quite impressed with Sanchez on Saturday.
Yeah, for
Uh,
sure. He was fine. He didn't do
but
anything stupid. That's going to be my barometer of measuring
Sanchezness,
Sanchez's performance. Is did he give a ball away that resulted into a goal? Did he flap at something? No, he didn't. Okay, cool.
yeah,
Well, then that's fine. You are a very average Premier League goalkeeper that shouldn't be playing for us. But as long as
yeah.
you don't give something away, you save the ones that you should save. I'm not expecting anything else out of you.
Yeah, exactly that. Okay, Dan, let's wrap it there. Thank you everyone for tuning in and listening. As always, please hit like, subscribe, comment, etc. It really does help us out, and then one of you lucky people will get the chance to win a Chelsea jersey once we hit 1,000 subscribers. We will have the Bayern Munich preview out later today, so make sure you check in on that, and we will see you all on the flip side after the Bayern game. Thank you for listening.